Hi, I'm Wendy, and today I'm going to give you some tips on how to improve vocal variety and expressiveness in your voice. So unlocking the full potential of your voice is a game changer in communications. So whether it's for public speaking, whether it's for doing presentations, or if you're leading a team, you want to have your voice operating at the optimum level, at its maximum potential. So, it'll just help you convey your message with more authority, more credibility. People will sit up and notice. They'll start listening to you. So I'm going to give you some tips and strategies today on how you can improve that. So the first thing is, it's called a pitch range exercise. Did you know that we have 3 pitches? Yes, 3 voice pitches. We have a head voice. That's not the voice that's operating in your head all the time. I'm talking about our voice, our vocal cords. So we have a head voice, we have a middle, or it's sometimes called a mixed voice, and we have a chest voice. So each one of them serves a purpose, and we do tend to use all 3 of them, not at the same time, but for different reasons, in different ways. They can evoke different feelings. People will listen in different ways to us when we're using a head voice as opposed to a mixed or a chest voice. So when we speak with that lower chest voice, we sound more serious, we sound more authoritative, we sound more powerful, in control. Perhaps, we sound more professional in that sense. When we speak with a mixed or a middle voice, that's the voice that conveys energy. It conveys friendliness and approachability. And I'm trying to do a little bit of that right now. When we use the head or the high voice, it doesn't mean that you're speaking in a falsetto, but we say it's up a little bit higher. And it's often the voice that we use in playful situations. It could be with our family and friends. It could be when we're speaking to children or to animals. It depends what you're wanting to say. You may be using the chest voice, but it's often the voice we use in very light-hearted moments, in familiar situations, in friendly, playful situations usually. So you can start acknowledging and recognizing those 3 voices. Play around with a little bit. So start practicing using the 3 different pitches that you have. Start with the low pitch and then gradually move through the different pitches. Move from the low to the middle one and then up to the higher pitch and then back down again. Experiment a little bit with your voice. Read a passage using the low voice, using the middle voice, and using a high voice. Record it if you like, or get a friend to listen to you, and see what sort of impact, what a different feeling it conveys, what perhaps even different emotions that it might convey. So it's a very interesting exercise to do. Reading aloud with emotion. So here's my second tip on how to improve your vocal variety and expressiveness. Choose a passage, doesn't matter what it is. Choose a passage from a book or an article or a script and read it aloud with different emotions. It's an interesting exercise. Focus on conveying happiness, for example, conveying excitement, conveying fear or anger or sadness. This will help you to express yourself a little bit more, to get out of perhaps using the same tone of voice in everything that you're dealing with. So pay attention to the variations in tone, in pace, and in intensity. Again, record yourself and try to identify the different emotions that you feel. Don't just concentrate on some very basic emotions. Try to be a little bit more nuanced and subtle and see if you can pick up on those different emotions that will be coming through in your voice. If you like, ask a friend or a trusted colleague to listen to you and see if they can identify some of the more subtle emotions that you're conveying. So this is an exercise just to inject a little bit of dynamic and energy and emotion into your voice rather than keeping the same sort of level all the time. All right, tongue twisters and articulation. Do you remember those tongue twisters you might have practiced at school or when you were younger? they're there for a reason. They're there to exercise the muscle in the tongue. It's like any other muscle in the body, and I think, it pays to incorporate some of those exercises on a daily basis to strengthen those mouth muscles. So work on your articulation by practicing tongue twisters. You can, find lots of different ones. Just look online. I'm sure you'll find ones that you might remember from your childhood, and practice them on a daily basis. Practice them as warm-ups before any speaking gigs or presentations that you might need to make. So they will improve clarity, and they'll also allow you to explore some different aspects of vocal characterization and expressiveness. Monotone to dynamic speech. So record yourself again delivering a speech, a very short one, using a very monotone voice throughout. Now this could be a little bit difficult to capture that and to maintain it, but try to do that. Then record yourself being a little bit more dynamic with it. Listen back, identify some of the areas with the monotone speech where you could perhaps, be a little bit more varied and adjust the dynamic in your tone and in your pitch. And do the same thing. Record, even exaggerate a little bit of that and see where perhaps it sounds quite good. You might think it feels quite exaggerated, and often it does feel that way. But when you record it and listen back, you think, well, it doesn't sound that exaggerated after all. It sounds pretty good. There may be elements that sound a little bit too much, and that might be something that you can be aware of the next time you're talking. And you might have a tendency in certain parts of the speech, or with certain phrases or words, to exaggerate, your dynamic and your tone a bit. Character voice exploration. Now, this is an interesting one. If you have some kids' books lying around, why not grab them and practice exploring the voice of the different characters in the book and using that range of emotions as well too. So choose a character from a book or anything that you've got to hand. Experiment with the different characters in there and their unique vocal qualities. So have fun. It's a fun exercise. Don't be afraid to choose characters that are quite the opposite to your own character or your own personality. Choose voices that are deeper and stronger, or much more high-pitched and lighter than your own. It'll help you expand your vocal range and develop the ability to adapt your voice with different tones and styles. So, little summing up, incorporating these vocal exercises into your routine will undoubtedly elevate your ability to express yourself with a lot more variety, with a lot more flair, hopefully, and resonance. So, hone your vocal variety. Use these tips and strategies as warm-ups, even before you go on stage, before you present, before you give a public speech. And I think you'll end up sounding a lot more interesting, a lot more dynamic. People will sit up and listen, and hopefully you will establish some really great connections with your audience. So good luck with those exercises.